All right, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm USA forecaster JD Rapp, Vice Forecaster JD Rapp with you today to keep you updated on the speed on what's going on today. We have a risk of severe weather on the holiday weekend. Today is
December 23rd.
December 23rd, and I'm taping this at 12:51 p.m. But I got USA forecaster Isaac Schaff here with us today, and we have a risk of severe weather, and we'll get through this. We have an enhanced risk upgraded for Christmas Eve, so I want to turn things over to you for a few
Okay.
minutes.
So what I'm looking at here is obviously this is high resolution guidance here. We're paying fairly close attention to this area where we're getting a lot of moisture being advected from the Gulf as we speak. And over the next couple of hours, this is high resolution guidance here. This is convection. Uh, you can see all this convection that's brewing up here as this cold front. You can see as that cold front continues to make its way, it's going to converge with all of this moisture, this Gulf moisture, and you can see over the next couple of hours, this convection is really going to start firing up. So I believe, obviously, right now in Zulu time, it is. Well, it's not 13 Zulu. That this would have been the 12Z morning run, but still, this is showing a lot of what is projected to occur over the next couple of hours. So obviously right now we're getting close to 19 Zulu in standard time. That would be 1 o'clock p.m. Central. And yeah, we can see a lot of this spotty convection that's been brewing over parts of Louisiana and Arkansas. And obviously this is going to congeal into a broken line of storms. You can see that cold front as we have some cells that are popping up out ahead of there,
And those are super sailor.
and these are just some of these storms are discrete. You can see this particular area over here. I'm going to look at the sounding view. It looks like we have a weak updraft with this one. So I mean, some of the storms we're going to see throughout the course of the next couple of hours. Let's say sections of the Gulf Coast. So I'm looking at this sounding over here. You can see we have some modest instability that's surface driven there, and you can see some fairly modest vertical shear there. So I mean, we have quite a bit of surface instability, but we can see when we're seeing more elevated or mixed layer instability, that's getting things going. We're seeing that convection really starting to fire up here. So I mean, it's going to be a matter of potentially the next 2 or 3 hours, we're probably going to start seeing some discrete storms kind of starting to pop up around there. So this is going to be close to, or rather the next several hours, probably into like 4, 5, or 6 o'clock in the evening. We're really starting to see some convergence happening with this cold front, and you can see this line of storms and a few of the storms that are occurring ahead of here. And I'm actually going to look at this particular area over here because we have a lot of, with all this moisture that's advecting and and you can see a lot of surface-based moisture and fairly warm conditions that are present around here as well. So I mean, depends on how much sunshine there is that's heating up the ground. We can see where we have some of these stronger updrafts, and I mean, this is a fairly strong shear that we have going on here. This is where we don't have as much surface-based instability here. A lot of this instability is a little further elevated. If we get some stronger downdrafts with this in particular environment that's out ahead of here. So I mean, this is where we could probably get some gusty winds, but this is going to be a more progressive issue. As you can see, we have a couple of discrete storms that are forming later this afternoon, potentially across sections of south of the Red River Valley here towards the Gulf Coast. You can see all this activity that's brewing up, and then the real issue comes as this line continues to congeal with all this moisture that is advected. And along this cold front, you have a lot of rising air. This is a whole lot of convection you got going on here. And then as this line continues to move, make its way east, you can see that air mass. It takes a lot of that moisture with it, and then this is where we have potentially what looks like a squall line. You can see a little bit of bumping in some of these areas. Yeah, but I'm going to look.
And I'm going to tell about it, Isaac. Anybody, especially in that Boeing type situation, you're going to see some damage in straight line winds, and that's what a QIC squall line can.
Linear convective system.
That's what you get mostly likely when you see these storms going. And you see that, and like Isaac's mission, and you have these individual supercell things, these little cells that pop up. These are the ones we're going to cause potentially of tornadic activity. I mean, we could be going through storms at nighttime that produce tornado warnings. So I know this is a holiday weekend. This is where people travel and go to their places a lot. And some people are not even used to this kind of weather. Just pay attention to us, have a way to receive warnings, have a way to receive multiple warnings. Tune to me and Isaac, and we'll get through this right. Am I correct?
Yep. And I'm going to go back to my screen here. As we can see here.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. You can see a lot of this convergence happens with this line. You can see all this convection that is fired up throughout the day. Ahead of this line, you can see this is along the leading edge of this line. You see you got all this convection, some spotty supercells in some of these areas, or you can see some discrete storms. You can see these clusters that are forming out ahead of here. And again, like I said, just looking at some of these soundings here, there's a small chance, just given some of this downdraft and these downdrafts that reach the ground and some of the surface space heating and the shear, there's a low chance of tornadoes here as we head into like the afternoon hours. But the real issue comes tonight, as you can see, as we have this linear, we have linear convection that's making its way across the Gulf up towards the lower Mississippi Valley, and you can see down here towards the Mississippi Delta. And then this is an area that's backed by some stronger low-level flow. So, I mean, this is going to be later in the evening, potentially 9 or 10 or 11 p.m. at night.
Or people are sleeping.
But, yeah, you can see even out ahead of here, just near the Gulf, backed by some stronger low-level flow, you can still some very strong indications of shear, but not as much surface-based instability. We have a tad bit of an inversion layer, nothing that's capped or anything, but looks like the air near the surface is fairly stable there. But you can see a lot of this mixed, more elevated instability that's present. So any cells that we have reach that continue to grow upscale, we're going to see some stronger downdrafts. So I'd anticipate more of a wind and tornado threat with this activity that happens ahead of it. Or again, this is going to be a more isolated tornado concern. Like I said, I'm not expecting a widespread tornado issue. Again, these will be a brief spin-up tornadoes as they do occur. And I'm actually paying attention to areas in the panhandle of Florida as well. You can see just right off the Gulf there and just further ahead of here, this is where we have some cells that are still along the leading edge, and we have looks like a little bit of a hook signature with some of these cells that are depicted to form off the Gulf. So I'm just saying this is what's depicted, not exactly what radar is going to show at this particular time, but still, even with a tad bit of an inversion layer present, but still very strong shear. And if we get a strong downdraft, so I mean any low top storm with strong downdrafts is really going to help erode this inversion layer. So I mean that is going to lead to that is going to cause some stronger updrafts. So I mean this is why you see QLCS tornadoes, and you'll see straight line wind being concerned with this. So I mean,
let me tell some more people some things again. Let me talk for a second here and tell some people some more things. Here's another thing I'm going to keep in mind. This is what, like Isaac's saying, there's going to be some of this overnight hours where people are sleeping. Have a weather radio in handy, crank up a weather radio, have your TV on. So this is looking like a more overnight situation where most people are sleeping, right, Isaac?
Yeah, sure. Then I'm going to pass along some of the developments we have going on with the overall disturbance. You can see these heavy snow rates up here in the upper Midwest, at least 1 to 1.5 inch snow rates up here. So I mean, most of I-90 and even areas further east towards just right around Minneapolis. Partial snow cover has been an issue, but full snow cover has been an issue across much of western Minnesota. I will point out, but then you can see a lot of this moisture that's advecting around there, and as this line, you can see that cold front, and it's draped down. It's going to drape down towards the Red River Valley fairly soon. So I mean, this is a sign that we have something that's going to start to happen over the next couple of hours. Maybe some isolated supercells if we get convection forming right off
These are going
the
to
bat.
be past supercells.
There's a lot of there's sufficient elevated instability that's depicted over the next couple of hours. So I mean, this is an area maybe we could watch for a discrete storm or two, but this line is going to congeal into a line as this cold front continues to make its way towards the Mississippi Delta. So, I mean, this is when we're talking more quasi-linear convective system activities, straight line winds, embedded tornadoes, obviously.
Fast tornadoes.
Yeah, that's what they're mentioning here, especially as we have a low pressure system that'll form on the. So you can see a lot of this low pressure activity up here. That we got like 990, a little bit right around there, maybe a bit less than that. Surface cyclone that's making its way across Minnesota towards the Wisconsin border. So I mean, this is where we have the heaviest snow rates along the cyclone here. Moisture we have advecting onto the backside here. So I mean, this is where we have the heaviest snowfall rates towards Minneapolis areas, just northwest, and just to the south of there too. You can see. I can tell that we have some heavier snow rates. I mean,
here's something, Isaac.
Yeah.
Here's the 1 kilometer on the Storm Prediction Center. Look at all that pink there.
Oh, hold on. Let me full screen it here. But you can see. Oh yeah, that's tomorrow's outlook. You can see tomorrow's setup there. You can definitely see the. I'd go back a little bit. That is
okay. Sorry about that.
Well, I mean, just now go back in time. You can definitely tell during the day there's a lot of low level shear that's in place.
Is that better or worse?
That's a product that tells you how many degrees and how fast the winds are changing from 1 kilometer to just 1 kilometer aloft. That's how much the conditions change in terms of winds and magnitude and direction. And when you're seeing that environment, that is going to be, if we get a stronger updraft at the ground, and that's how quickly the winds are turning. That's also the similar situation for downdrafts. I mean, just 1 kilometer aloft, you got winds, much stronger winds than at the ground. So, I mean, more of a westerly wind and a southerly wind at the surface. That's a sign that, there's a lot of spin in the atmosphere. So that is going to be an issue with storms as they push through those particular areas into the
here's 3 kilometer
south coast. Yeah. And then it's helpful to look at the 3 kilometer shear indications as well, because as we head into like the 7 or like more upper level conditions there, there's a lot of air that can mix down at the ground too, so that could worsen the situation at the 0 to 1 kilometer level too. So I mean, this is very strong shear that we have with this disturbance overall. So I mean, and a lot of that moisture's that we have a lot of upper level moisture too. So I mean that's back that
Here's
is
Cape.
mixing in. Yeah,
There's a lot of look at all this Cape we have to work with, right?
yeah. There's a lot of you can see a lot of that is along the Gulf, and that advects into like the coastal areas further inland too. So I mean that is going to potentially be the fuel for a couple of stronger storms. As they work their way through areas closer to the coast, maybe even further inland too. So I mean that is going to continue to be an issue there, and you can see a lot of that. Oh yeah, that's the fixed layer STP, and a lot of that onshore flow from the Atlantic too. That's going to be the fuel, a stronger low level flow. That's going to be an issue for areas across eastern North Carolina, eastern South Carolina too. I mean, into lower Virginia too. I mean that there's a lot of shear and fuel, a lot of convective energy that will be in place. So I mean, this is potentially going to be an issue when it comes to. Oh yeah, that's actually the ensembles that you're looking at there. But yeah, you can see there's a clear consensus as that boundary continues to make its way from the Gulf Coast into the East Coast there, or into the southern parts of the Mid-Atlantic. That's going to be a real concern there. And it looks like there's a new. I didn't look at the new mesoscale discussion yet. I'm actually going to take a look at that real quick. But yeah, what the Storm Prediction Center is saying about this blizzard conditions that are pushing through Minneapolis looks like through Zero Zulu, looks like much of Minneapolis. The I-35 corridor in Minnesota is going to be significantly impacted into northern Iowa as well. Moderate to heavy snow is developing along and east of the I-35 corridor. Blizzard conditions also expected to spread east across at least north central Iowa, south central Minnesota, into east central Minnesota. So, I mean, we even have convective showers with this. So, I mean, further ahead of this is where, as that surface cyclone, there's a steep pressure gradient. So, I mean, there's even stronger lifting, and that's going to add to the amount of moisture that's in place with this. So, I mean, yeah, now this is a 989 surface cyclone. So, I mean, it was 990 earlier. But just what I'm looking at here, snow rates may briefly peak about, 2 inches per hour, beginning to taper off in the late afternoon to early evening. And we got widespread blizzard conditions across much of Minnesota and northern Iowa. So, I mean, a lot of snow, a lot of main interstates are also reporting at least partial, even complete snow cover across western Minnesota. I checked some of the road conditions that are present, even and potentially, and secondary and tertiary roadways are potentially impassable with that. So I mean, as the belt of the strong flow will weaken. So I mean, the stronger flow that's associated with that, looks like as that surface flow continues to push through, at the upper level conditions, the winds are slowly starting to weaken. So that's gonna lower the gusts or the air that's being mixed down at the ground. So I mean that is gonna. And it's going to slightly make it slightly weaken there, so that is going to make blizzard conditions more of a localized issue. So I mean that's why blizzard warnings don't span across the rest of that area, and this is going to be the same snow. The system, it'll definitely produce a little bit more localized snow, maybe lighter snow across parts of Illinois and down towards the Missouri and Ohio valleys as well. And so, I mean, obviously the heaviest snow rates, they're going to briefly peak about 2 inches an hour. Yeah, I mean, just please, if you have to travel, be very careful.
Yeah, be careful on the severe weather side, too.
And travel regulations, yeah. So be careful if you have to travel for the holidays ahead of this dangerous dangerous system. And we already have storm warnings hoisted across these areas. These are, oh yeah, this is into Thursday, part of the same disturbance. So I mean, as we head into Christmas Eve, this is going to be a very strong trough. I'll show you the dynamics with this, but yeah. I pull up my screen here. Whoops! Oh, that's the same window. But yeah, you can see very strong troughing that's belching down into the plains here. And pull that up again. The 500 millibar map. I'm going to look at some of the upper air maps. Sometimes this is what we look at here to determine the progression of this strong trough. You can see a very strong height gradient with this, and this is going to quickly usher in and wrap into the yeah, I think this is around. I'm going to look at the 850 map, but yeah, you can see a strong mid-latitude cyclone with this, and it drapes all the way down into the plains here. This is where we have a lot of that moisture that's advecting. That is going to sag southward toward the this is all sagging southward. I'm gonna actually put this into a loop here. Yeah, here's an 850 millibar loop. You can see the progression with this. It's kind of this mid-latitude cyclone overall. It's tracking further south, so I mean this is going to definitely be very strong activity. This doesn't converge directly with the environment that's in place down in here, but I mean this mid-latitude cyclone is definitely making its way into the Carolinas, and we have very strong height recessions. Look at this jet streak. That's definitely going to be an issue here heading into tomorrow there, with much stronger winds further aloft as this disturbance makes its way into the Carolinas, and then at the ground we have winds that are going to be out of the it's going to usher in very warm and moist, unseasonably warm and moist air mass that will be in place. But I mean, I think weaker lapse rates will also make this more of a contingent. Like if we get stronger lapse rates, stronger surface-based CAPE, that's gonna help really fuel this tornado threat that we have tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's going to fuel it heavily.
Now I'm going to look at the 500 millibar map, Luke, because I'm interested to see the 7-day trends with this. But yeah, you can see how that upper low, how that trough really progresses and wraps. It's going to wrap its way. I think 7-day loop is too much. I'm going to narrow it down to, the 1-day loop. You can see how quickly that pushes down, and how you can infer how quickly this trough is going to converge with this very warm and moist air mass that's in place, especially near the Gulf and into the Carolinas, much of the South, and maybe marginal severe weather conditions, inferably just looking at this up towards just the Tennessee Valley, just points south. I'm not expecting a widespread severe weather issue across the Ohio or the main Tennessee Valley area, but areas further south.
They're by North Carolina, Upper Carolinas has it more.
A what?
Carolinas, they got that bigger risk, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, heading into tomorrow, we have a very strong jet streak that's looking to form with this. Just looking at the 850 millibar loop that I saw here, you can definitely see how narrow, and there's a tight pressure gradient just above the surface there, and then that you can see winds 50 to 60 knots. That is going to quickly become maybe like 80 to 100 knot jet streak above the surface too. So I mean, it looks like that low level jet streak is going to be, that's going to usher in a lot of, it's going to advect a lot of moisture. There's a lot of concerns when it comes to elevated convection that's associated with this system overall, and that's going to be an issue later today across these areas too, where you see a lot of that moisture that's advecting into that area, and then as this cold front at the surface will congeal with will converge with this here, and then that's gonna cause the right gradient for widespread showers and storms from the Gulf Coast into the southeast states. So definitely don't let your guard down if you have to travel or be anywhere, and have a plan if you get warnings in your area.
Yeah, let me do a little talking here. Same thing like I was saying, do not turn your alerts off on your phone today. Have your phones on just in case you go under a tornado warning, because folks, you're not going to have a lot of time today on these tornado warnings, right, Isaac?
Yeah, right. You want to be very careful, and again, I mean, if you have to travel anywhere ahead of this overall this disturbance overall, I mean, just showing you how there's a wide range of issues here in this with this disturbance overall. I mean, there's a very strong surface cyclone, and you can see the strong winds further a lot that's mixing in at the ground here. Or this is where a lot of the mixing happens, where the height where we have this mid-latitude cyclone that's pushing through. So I mean, this is where we have a lot of blizzard conditions underway. I mean, a partial to full snow covers being reported across much of Minnesota, especially west of Minneapolis, just along and directly west of the Minneapolis area and around the I-35 corridor. It's becoming much of an issue now. So I mean, this is going to be very dangerous. And I think I heard, or like some of our, and there's a possibility that some areas may receive up to a foot of snow, or totals may add up to a foot, just given, like, you know, the snow rates that are briefly reaching 1.5 to 2 inches per hour.
Will that get us
snow pushing through?
Will that get emergency, not emergency beach coverage, but will that make
we don't have like state level disaster proclamations as far as I know with this. I mean, there's not. We're not talking like widespread like interstate closures. There's just a lot of traffic related issues where
that's going to be a problem,
especially along I-90. I've seen a lot of there's a lot of congestion because, you know, we have snow removal crews and emergency vehicles that are attempting to reach stranded motorists, you know, and there's a lot of accidents that are.
Let me put this out too, to everybody, quick.
It is really not safe to be like going the speed limit. You got to be going less than the speed limit, even on primary roadways, because you know, there's plenty of emergency vehicles trying to reach stranded motorists, and it may be slower times before someone can reach you, and it's going to be really slippery, really slick with this. Temperatures are going to be rapidly falling with this disturbance.
Yeah, that concrete salt doesn't work good with when you have cold temperatures. And also, here's another thing what's concerning me is a lot of people are finishing up their Christmas shopping, and the severe weather going on, and we have the snow side. If you don't have to be out, I know a lot of people still doing that, Christmas shopping and getting their food for everything. Just, you know, if you go under a tornado warning, just calm down, take it easy, don't freak out, and we should get through this right. I mean, we don't want anybody on the roads, right?
Yeah, correct. And again, I'm just going to overview this once more. You can see how this is a very strong mid-latitude cyclone. It's producing a wide range of hazards, from blizzard conditions from Minnesota to potential severe weather concerns over the next several hours across sections of Texas, Louisiana, and potentially later into tonight across the lower Mississippi Delta into the Florida Panhandle potentially as well. So you're really going to want to be very careful if you're in these areas. Yeah. Definitely be careful if you have to travel. Have a way to receive warnings. And have
don't let your guard down
in case you go under a tornado warning or severe thunderstorm warning.
Here's
you
another
definitely
thing.
Want to be in a site-built building. Definitely, you don't want to be in a mobile home, especially one that's not properly.
Mobile homes are not safe tonight.
Yeah. You definitely want to be have a way to reach a site-built shelter. Definitely remember, a tornado watch or tornado or severe thunderstorm watch means be prepared. Have a site-built shelter or a secure foundation or secure structure, rather a sturdy structure you can go to ahead of storms if warnings are issued. Sometimes tornado warnings may not be issued in time, and tornadoes may occur without warning. Definitely keep that in mind as well. So,
Here's another thing I was going to put out there, everybody. You definitely want to have your phones, your tablets, everything charged up in case you would lose power. Because once you have quasi systems, the damage and winds can knock your power out, or even the tornado can knock your power out. Also, too, Isaac.
yeah, sure. I mean, I'm going to go to poweroutage.us while you do mention that, just to overview what we have going on. Looks like, across parts of Minnesota here, looks like the worst of what we have going on. Looks like Sibley County, at least 10% of the county is without power. I mean, looks like Jackson County. Jackson County is at least 30% of customers without power. But
Goodness.
I mean, not as many customers are tracked on this server, and it's not really giving us accurate information. But again, like many secondary and tertiary, like rural areas and whatnot, not necessarily urban communities. That's where the worst of the power outage situation probably is. But you definitely want to be very careful and have emergency supplies in case your power does go out.
Yeah, here's the radar, Isaac, and I'll show you what we got in place. I want to show you what we have. We're starting to get reports of 60 miles a gust.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got reports of 3 hours of, you can hear Isaac, 3 hours. It starts with the V.
3 hours of quarter-mile visibility. Hold on, let me open. Oh, okay. A band of snow. Hold on, show that again. A band of visibility 1/4 mile with snow and wind gusts above 35. So that is the criteria for blizzard.
52. Winds over 52. You said 30 miles, but it says it's 52 here.
Wind gusts above 35. That's the blizzard criteria. But yeah, winds have gusted as high as 52. I mean, I've seen stuff out of Minnesota. Some gusts have approached 65 miles per hour in some areas. So that's definitely a very dangerous situation, especially those in rural Minnesota. Like I think Appleton area too. I mean, just a lot of the non-thunderstorm wind gusts to 70 miles per hour. Yeah, I'm just saying, we got like some high wind warnings across like Nebraska and some other areas out in the plains as well. So definitely dangerous conditions for high-profile vehicles and whatnot. So I mean, dangerous. I definitely would assume dangerous crosswinds as well. A lot of truck drivers and frontline workers that are all over the place. So
you see 70 miles of wind. This is out thunderstorms, so you're going to lose some power. So I advise if you're in a high wind warning, winter or blizzard warning, you need to charge stuff up right now in case you will lose power.
Yeah, right. And we will continue to pass along new developments as we get there. We will be in feed, so do expect to hear from us over video feed very soon. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here so I can take some time to rest, get everything charged up and ready for tonight. So
this is Forecaster JD
and Isaac.